Hello and welcome. We are searching again for a game. Yesterday went incredibly well. And I hope to recreate that. I'm currently on 2 wins, 1 loss in this series. And my rating is now 1798. And we've got a game against none other than Double L Law Z. Law Z. And we've got white pieces again. And provisional rating from this person this time, 1909. Joined 6 months ago, but 1900 rapid, played 32 games. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully a decent win here as well will help us out. Knight f6, all normal. Let's go. G3. Now, the improvements from yesterday were that c4 should have been played immediately because that was just generally better than castling. And so if we get the chance to play c4 early, then we should, is basically my thinking. It looks like this is going to be a Queen's Gambit declined. And so far, thus it is. Now, we shall see what happens. Bishop d6 is my assumption, after which I'll play d4 to stop e5. Bishop e7 is a bit timid. I can probably play c4 immediately there and go into like a Neo-Catalan type thing. With b3, bishop d6, yep, makes sense. I'll play d4, that stops this push. Ooh, still moves I'm aware of at the moment. But yes, in general, not so well placed. So I think c4 here makes total sense. Because if c4, I can try and look for e4 if the pawn isn't taken. So I'm thinking something like c4 takes maybe knight d2, something like this. Yes, let's go for it. Queen c2 is also perhaps an option. But c4 is definitely the move here. We're sort of playing a Catalan. Takes knight e5 is possibly even an option. Mind you, knight e5, bishop e5, d e5, knight d5. Probably is the move there. And I'm down a pawn. But I've got the bishop pair. Maybe that's an option. We'll think about it more later because I think probably what's going to happen is c6. And on c6, I think, knight b d7 was actually my next idea. Probably trying to play c5. So, question is, are we worried about c5? I've not seen anything like this before. So, for those wondering, I'm out of prep and my screen has gone funny. I wonder if you can see that. Perhaps not. Let me fix this super quickly. Okay, there we are, fixed. Now better. Okay, let's think. So if I, for example, just play Queen c2, which is normal for a position like this, Queen c2, c5. Am I worried about c5? I don't think so. Because I think I can take on c5. Knight takes c5, for example. And then dc or cd5. de5 and play against an isolated pawn. There's also pressure along the c file in the long run. You'll have to play something like b6 probably to try and defend. So I think I can play queen c2 here and be happy. Which I'm going to do because it looks logical. It's a move in these sort of positions and I'm going to play it. Queen c2, if you take, then I think I can just take. So I'm going to go queen c2. It kind of looks like a Catalan, but I'm not sure I've ever seen a Catalan with a bishop on d6 and a knight on d7. It's a weird Catalan, and I'm not I don't know Catalan theory. So I'm not sure if there's a better move to exploit this move order. But for now, I guess we're okay. So c4 could be taken, after which I'll likely take back with the queen. Knight b6 seems logical. Hitting the queen and the pawn, after which I think queen d3 is the move. Just dropping back and keeping an eye on the d-pawn. Is there something better? I don't think so. I mean, taking here feels kind of scary anyway in general because you just open out the bishop, which is why I was expecting c6. But knight bd7 seems to indicate c5 as a possible idea. So I think we're expecting c5 here. Because c5, dc5, I don't know, knight d5, knight c5 rather, for the sake of arguments. And I can take on d5. And if you take knight d5, I think I could just play e4 and be happy. In other news, I could actually even... Yeah, c6 makes sense. What I was thinking was if you take on if you take dc5, then I could even possibly consider e4 immediately. Threatening e5, of course, but in this case, perhaps knight d2 is just the move to play here. Knight d2, just looking for e4. Knight d2, now e5 is the problem. This is what I'm assuming to be the case, I think. Am I correct in saying? Knight d2, e5. No, but maybe if you go e5, can I take on d5 first? Because then cd5 and then de5, for example, and play against an isolated pawn that way. So I think knight d2 is okay. Blunder check quickly. I mean, knight d2 also stops this knight coming in here, which is kind of ugly. So I think knight d2 is just the move. It also feels correct, just Catalan-wise. Doesn't blunder anything. I'm going to play knight d2. Also, sorry, technically you're getting 2 videos on the same day. The render took a little longer than I expected. And I ended up posting the first of this series, which should have been Monday, yesterday, in the early hours of this morning. So depending on how long this goes, I might be a day behind, which would be quite sad. But in any case, feeling good here. Let's see what happens. Now again, if you take c4, I think the difference here is that e4 is slightly more dangerous because you can play b5 at some point, I think. Of course, not immediately because I'm simply threatening a fork. So I think my threat is just to go e4. Yeah, b6. Okay, this is somewhat logical. And now I kind of want to go e4. e4, de4, knight e4, knight e4, queen e4, bishop b7. What is going on? Because the last thing I want is to get hit with c5, which is a tempo. But of course, bishop b7 is actually not threatening anything because that bishop is undefended. So I think I can go e4 pretty happily here. I think. Of course, e4 does mean that you can take on c4. But of course, again, a problem with that would be ridiculous. Yeah, I'm threatening e5. So e4, de4. Knight e4, queen e4. For example, bishop b7, knight g5 is possibly an idea. Unleashing my bishop. Of course, the queen's still there, so it's kind of rude. Doesn't really do much. I think e4 is definitely the move here. I'm just trying to understand the follow-up after takes. If knight g5 is correct or if there's something better. Because takes, and then taking on d4 would be ridiculous. Okay, crazy idea. No, that's too crazy. You just hang a pawn. I was thinking after e4, takes, going c5, but of course bc5, de5, and I lose the pawn. So e4 takes. Bishop b7, knight g5 is maybe knight E. Okay. I think knight e5 is slightly better here because bishop g5 is a one mover. You can just play g6. I think. And be fine. So after e4 takes, bishop b7 is, I'm assuming, to be most logical. I think knight e5 here is good. Because then you can't take with the knight on d7, I fork your pieces, so you have to give up the bishop if you want to get rid of this knight. And my knight is open up, and I can bring my other knight in to support if I need to. Okay. I mean, I'm happy that e4 is definitely the move. I was just wanting to see what the follow-up would be. We go e4. See what happens. Of course, with bishop e7, immediately we can just fork and win the game on the spot. Our threat is simply to fork. And if we get a pawn on e5, then that's dangerous. Super, super dangerous for black, because that knight is dislodged now. And that h7 square is going to be really weak. So, for example, if they went bishop e7, I can go e5 and just be super happy. Because now knight probably is going to have to end up on e1, or e8 rather, sorry. And after knight e8, I can do something. Knight g5 maybe. Knight g5, h6, knight f3 would be crazy, huh? Does that work? Oh no. Knight g5 in that line never works because the queen sees the g5 square, which is kind of sad. But there's something, certainly. Dislodging that knight would just be too good for us. Let's see how this develops. Again, I feel like I'm in a decent position. We'll see what happens. Takes. Now let me just quickly blunder check here. I think I can simply just take. And if you go bishop b7, I can just take the bishop. And if you take with the knight, I can take. And then go knight e5, I think was my plan, right? And again, there's never any c5 for now because that bishop on b7 is just simply undefended. So I think I can quite happily take here. Uh-huh. And of course, knight f6 doesn't do anything. Which is actually lucky because I missed knight f6 as a move, but that just hangs the pawn. Uh-huh. And now I think I can just go here. Knight e5, knight f6, though, is now a consideration. Knight e5, knight f6, but I think, am I correct in saying I can take here? Because if you take here, I'll take here. But then this is defended. So actually, no. Knight e5 would be a blunder because of knight f6, I believe. Perhaps not even blunder. So knight e5, knight f6, do I have something? I could just move the queen, right? So knight e5, knight f6. I'm not even considering taking, which I suppose is an option. But knight e5, knight f6 is what I'm slightly upset about missing. And actually, I realized my calculation was wrong because in this line, the knight was gone, and I'm thinking I'm still threatening scary business, which I'm not. So knight e5, knight f6. What if I just went queen d3 for the sake of argument? Now c5 is something. No, c5 is still nothing because of the bishop. So knight e5, knight f6, queen d3. Bishop takes e5. So queen d3 would be a blunder. So knight e5, knight f6, queen e3, for example, now. Just keeping an eye on that d4 pawn. I'm not so convinced, actually. I am not so convinced. What if I went just bishop g5 directly? Knight f6, queen e3, for example. Then queen c7. And things are going crazy as well. I actually don't know what the move should be here. I need to have a small mental reset. I'm not so happy with what I've come up with. Because knight e5 seems the obvious choice to attack the pawn. Knight e5, knight f6, queen f3, question mark. Because now there's still no c5. If you take on e5, I can take back, dislodge the knight, and then win that pawn at some point later down the road. And of course, the added bonus of the bishop here. So I think knight e5, let's blunder check. Knight e5 takes immediately. Knight takes e5. D takes e5. Bishop e7. I actually don't like that as much, to be honest. So what if I went bishop f4, simply trying to trade that to then go knight e5? Would that be more appropriate? Yeah, so knight e5, and if knight f6, I think I'm okay, but knight e5 and takes, I'm not so convinced about that structure. Knight e5, knight e5, d e5, bishop e7. And then what? You have to ask yourself. Bishop f4, queen f4. That stops the queen from coming to c7. Difference being now that enables c5. Bishop f4, queen f4, c5 is what I don't really want to allow. So knight e5 was my plan, but I don't like the fact that you can just take. Well, How do I get away through here? What if I go knight g5, knight g5, g6? No, knight g5, g6, maybe. And then what? I see a tactic. Knight e5. Knight g5, sorry. g6 to stop the mate. I can take on e6, and after takes, I can go queen takes e6, check, and pick off the bishop. Of course, the problem is knight f6. Knight g5, knight f6. And I'm not so certain anymore. Queen f3 doesn't seem so convincing. Knight e5, knight f6. Let's just check this line again. If I take on c6, bishop takes c6, and that's just winning a pawn. So takes on c6, takes on e5, takes on here. The problem is that the bishop defends at the end. I go down a piece. So it doesn't work. So knight e5, knight f6, I think I'm okay, because I can go queen f3. But knight e5, knight takes e5, d e5. Bishop e7. Do I just play that? I need to play a move. And I don't think knight g5 works because you can just go knight g6. That being said, do I still have knight e6? So knight g5, knight f6, knight e6. No, difference is that this knight has now vacated this and the bishop's defended. So I think I just have to go knight e5 and just hope. Oh, I've used so much time. This was bad. This is really bad from me. Really super bad. So I want to go knight e5 and just deal with the fact that takes bishop e7. I'm not really a fan, but okay, whatever. Maybe I can play on the pin, on the file. Okay, that's what I'll do. Knight f6. Queen f3. And I think I'm fine. I do it. Of course, this never works. Again, this piece is always hanging, which is the key thing about this. Yeah, I missed this knight of 6, which I don't like. But even then, I miscalculated because I thought there was a knight still on f6 in this position, which is really poor by me. It shows you I'm tired. So now I'm really hoping we don't get knight takes bishop e7. Because then I am not so in love. I'm not so in love. But I think this was the only move? Because bishop f4 felt too slow. Yeah, knight takes. Takes, bishop e7, obviously, is all we have. Or queen e7 I missed even. That's going to be nasty. Queen e7. Now rook e1 is met with c5. And I'm not so happy. I've messed this one up. Sorry, everyone. Oh, no, c5? Nope, I can still take the bishop. It's okay. It's not as dire as I thought. What are we doing? Really? Really? Bishop c5? What the hell does that do? Oh, do you want to go queen d... You're trying to go queen d4. Okay. So what if I just go bishop e3? Bishop e3, and that's good for me, right? Rook d1 coming. Gotta move quickly. I think bishop e3 is fine. Bishop e3, f5, I can take. That's not a problem. Bishop e3 takes, and I'm okay. Rook d1 is coming. Got a little bit of pressure. There's still no c5 because that piece is hanging. But bishop e3 takes. Queen e7, for example, and now c5 is coming. But now I can play c5 myself. Yes, I'm going bishop e3. I don't think I'm blundering anything. And if I am, GG's. So my idea is, by the way, here, queen e7, enabling c5. But I don't want to allow c5, so I'm going to play c5 myself. This is the important geometry. It's defended by the queen. So now I can go here, and this is a really weak pawn. This bishop is just heinous. And I'm better. Slightly, I think. Notice this is all still being defended. Wow. Okay, I got lucky there, I think. I missed. Yes, so queen e7 is correct here, I think. After which I think I should be going rook c1. Because I really want this move c5. Rook c1. c5 first off, though. That's the problem. Okay. Do I sacrifice a pawn here? Here. I kind of want to sacrifice a pawn, you know. Can I sacrifice a pawn? Alternatively, I could just play queen e4 back. Or queen f3. Something like this. Queen e4, f5 takes is not a problem. So queen e4 back, and now c5 is stopped. Queen e4, rook d8, rook d1. I think queen e4 back. But after queen e4, rook b8. I'm getting hit with c5 anyway. I'm not quick enough. So what if I sack the pawn and just go after them? I'm not sure it's good enough because the queen is still here. So if I play c5 now... If I play c5 now... c5, bc5... rook c8. I guess I'm winning that pawn back, right? So actually, c5 is not a sacrifice. I'm going to play c5. I'm not going crazy, right? I'm not going crazy. I'm doing it. I can always play f4. c5. Oh, c5, b5. Am I scared about b5? I don't think I am. c5, b5. I can even play a4 or something like this, right? I'm doing it. Blunder check. There's nothing obvious. No, no, no. That's defended, so takes. If not, if you take with the pawn, then I'm going rook c8. And I think I'm okay. And I think actually rook fc8 is most accurate here. I'm going c5. I think rook fc8 would be more accurate because that stops this tempo. Because if I want rook ac8 here... Oh no, because this isn't a thing. Because I was not really wanting to do this. Because then takes. But actually rook ac8 is fine. Okay, I got a plan, but I've got 5 minutes. And this is not by any stretch of the imagination totally won. I think I'm better. Okay, here, if b5 I can take, so I think I'm just winning this pawn. Here, rook here, and I'm okay. Here, I just go here. So I'm winning the pawn back, and probably this one too. So I think I'm better here. I think. I'm down a pawn, but I think I'm better, because I can win those back. This is an insane positional sacrifice that I've decided to do. Especially with 5 minutes on the clock. Been playing for half an hour. This is going to be another long one, I think. But I'm still feeling good. I think, anyway. We'll see. And if bishop a6, rook d8... Okay, so you're giving me back that for what? Oh, this skewer. Okay, I see. But if I just take the file? I don't understand. I think I can take the file, bishop a6 here. This is weak. And I'm just fine. Yes, this is my plan. Now I'm also threatening this. So I think bishop a6 is coming. After which I'm going here. So I think I'm better. I think I've just got the better pieces here. This can never go anywhere. Because this is just hanging. This does nothing because I'm coming for this pawn anyway. I've got total control of this file. So I could even considering going takes, and then attack this pawn. So I think I'm good. But this is not a simple win. This is one of those pawn-up games that GMs win with their eyes closed, but I could mess up really quickly. Yep. Which makes sense. I'm going to be really crazy. Can I go here? And get a passer? My threat is, of course, to take here. So if here... I can take here, right? And simply I'm just winning. I think here is really, really accurate. Let's calculate. Rook d6. What could you do? Rook d6, rook takes d6. E d6. Rook d8. Is it strong enough? I think it is. Because after rook d8, rook d1, bishop, I don't know. c8, for example. Now I can grab the pawn. And then if you don't do anything, rook d6, rook c8, rook takes c5, or c4 rather. I'm doing it. I have to play quickly here. So here, 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 for example. Then I can come here. And if you go here, then I can take here. I'm doing it. Rook d6. Let's see if this is correct. Of course, again, crucially, this is coming with a threat of just taking on c6, which is just not good for black. Wow, I think this sacrifice was correct, which is crazy. Takes, rook d8, rook d1. And I think I'm cooking. Rook d7. Rook d7, and now c5 is perhaps an option, which I hadn't considered. But I definitely didn't want to take here for you to take here. This pawn has to be the pawn that wins me the game, basically. And I think I have enough time just to walk my king. So I think rook d7 is accurate here. After which I'm going to go here, 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 probably. Oh, this is surely wrong. This is surely wrong. So here, here. Really? Oh, I've only got 2 minutes to figure this out. Oh, dear. I want to go d7. D7 king here, though, is the problem. So I think I have to go here. 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 Yeah, I think I have to go rook d4, because king now, king e8. Rook d4, king e8. Rook takes c4. I think this is what I must do. No, but rook d4, c4, I'm not a fan. Rook d4, c5 is my problem. Okay, rook d4, c5. I guess I have to take and then trade and go down a pawn, and I'm lost. Oh, really? Are you kidding? Does d7 bear me any fruits? Here, king e7. Do I have to cash in here? Here, here, here. Here, here, here. Here, here. Here, here. Okay, I think I just have to go here. I've got a minute left. I'm just going to have to accept that maybe the sacrifice was wrong. This is my problem. I don't have the pieces for this. Oh, this is surely wrong. Are we kidding? Here? Here. What if I go check? Here, here. Oh, I don't have the time. Is this really how this ends? Okay, whatever. I still have a weakness to go after, but I've got 30 seconds. I'm so cooked. Mm-hmm. After which, I guess I should go somewhere. Here. F5, I don't like. F4, maybe? I don't want this to happen, so maybe I have to go here. Let's do that. Check. Oh, I blundered. I blundered. Check. And here. Man, I'm so annoyed. Oh, I'm so annoyed. How have I done that? How have I done that? Okay, whatever. I'll let the time run out. I was playing that well. Come on then. Computer analysis. Oh, that's so annoying. That's such an annoying game. Not sure how much I trust this person as well. Being not fully rated. Ah! That's really sad. I thought that pawn sacrifice was good, but I think it was miscalculated. Oh, that was wrong. All right, here we are. There's analysis. Pull it up again. So I was just slightly better, slightly better, slightly better, and then it was equal, and then I blundered. Yeah, this was such a hard game to play. Such a hard game to play. Nope, I don't want e6. So we had knight f3, knight f6. This is all normal, 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 normal. c4 was correct. c5. Crazy. c5 apparently punishes this move. Why? b6, I just thought. I don't understand. What? The knight goes back? Oh, now this is what? Just lodged and just better? Wow. Hadn't considered that. That's useful to know. And there's nothing ever getting to this square. Wow. So after this, b6 doesn't work. You just have to play with the space disadvantage. Here, queen c2. That's incredibly instructive. I will now know. The difference here being that it's now a space on knight for the knight on f6, so it's not as good. Interesting. So now I know. Okay. Anyway, queen c2 is fine. c6 normal. Knight d2 is fine. b6 was definitely wrong. I felt that that was wrong. e4 was correct. I spent way too much time on that. I think way too much time. I knew it was correct and I just didn't play it. d4 was correct. 94 was correct. 94 was correct. This was correct. And now I'm just better. Bishop b7, which is what I thought. Wow. And now queen c2 back is what I had to do. Instead I went knight e5, which is just wrong. I hadn't even considered f5 there, actually. So this is a lesson in how to play the Catalan, everyone. Sometimes you have to accept that you just have a good center. And now knight f6 makes the most sense. And now I can play the c5. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Which is why moving that knight is not great, huh? Do this is wrong. After h6, what should I be doing? b5? That's weird. Plant the rook in the center. Okay, this is just a rogue. Knight h4? What does knight h4 do? Knight h4? Rook fd8, bishop d2, a5. It's trying to get a look at the light squares or something. Weird. Knight h4 is really rogue. I'd probably play b3 here, which allows c5, but now I can play c4, which is why this rook is so important. Wow. And I can sacrifice this, which is nice. Because why? Because of rook e1, everyone. And then rook d8. And I don't get it. Queen e7 here. And apparently this is just better. Because I'm going to be winning a piece back for the 3 pawns. Which is crazy. That's an insane line. Whatever. 95. I sensed something was wrong. Would knight g5 been okay? I thought knight g5 didn't work, right? Oh, I thought I was okay after queen f3. Oh, it's not so serious because of e5. Okay. Knight of 6. Yeah. Okay. And here, bishop e7 was obviously the move, but bishop e3, I got this correct, got this correct, got this correct. Queen e7. Oh, c5 best move. c5 was correct. Don't tell me I had to not trade queens or something ridiculous. I did. This was correct, correct, correct. Didn't I say? Didn't I say? And I was correct because this stops the problem of having... This was the diagonal. This was the key diagonal. If I had more time, I probably would have found this. I even said I have an instinct that rook f1 was better. That's insane. I played this with such understanding. But it just took me so long. Yeah, and now c4. Rook d8 was correct here. Oh, man. And it's just equal. And rook d6 is the losing move. Because it's so hard to defend this. I should have taken this, really. Really, I should have let this go. Insane. I overestimated my position at the end then, huh? Would there have been anything wrong with takes? Probably. Yeah, takes and I'm slightly worse. Because this and this tactic still comes. This is the key diagonal. That's really brutal. That's so annoying. I played with such understanding. I mean, I'm proud of myself for understanding that c5 is like, I have to do c5 here. Because I could have just done this, but I didn't like this. Apparently, after which I can just take, and I'm better with this. Which I thought was just wrong. I was playing just restricting this c5 break, which I thought would just give me a better position. Which is interesting. Yeah, this is looking quite nice to play as well. But I just had so little time. I overcalculated in places. I miscalculated, which is why this 95 is the problem. A whole 10 minutes here trying to figure out what to do. Queen c2 back is crazy. And then c5. Oh, such understanding. Best move. I went for this sacrifice for positional advantage. I should have gone for one. Because now, look, there's none of this shenanigans. So this c4 doesn't work. So I'm simply winning back this pawn with no problems. And now this is the issue. And what do you do here? Isn't that insane? One rook move is the difference between me continuing on and winning this game, probably. Most likely. I don't know. What would white do here? Problem is I'm attacking this, right? So if I do this, I probably would have just done this. And now you can't probably win back these pawns. That's why b4 is so good, because... Oh, yes. You just absolutely obliterate. Wow. Rook fc1. I even understood that there was probably going to be some problems. Wow. Wow, that's really instructive. I mean, I'm really sad about that game. I'm going to have to put that loss in, and it's going to pain me. Again, I should have cooked this person. Where is it? Text. There we are. Training game. This should have been training game 4. Whoops. I forgot to edit that. I'm down some rating points. I think down 17. Oh, that's so ugly. I used to be 1800. I did so well. And then I just lost so many games. Whatever. 1781. Oh, I'm sad. And another hour-long video for me to render out. Well, I think I should be proud, because finding that c5, understanding most of the things... Okay, knight e5 was wrong. I should have played queen c2, but these are positions that I don't find myself in very often. 10 minutes on that 95, I think, meant that I couldn't spend the time. I mean, it's probably wishful thinking that I would be able to understand that rook f c1 would be better. But if I had more time, perhaps I would have given it that thought. It's weird, isn't it? My instincts are great. I love positional chess. I have, I think, excellent understanding in these sorts of ideas. But just sometimes my calculation is a little off in places. Or I overcalculate. I think this is a big thing that I'm discovering. I spend so much time. Well. I'll call it there for today. Thanks for joining me. I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.